What is Marxism? Well, Marxism is a combination of ideas advocated by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Marxism is a social, economic, and political philosophy that includes the labor theory of value, dialectical materialism, the class struggle theory of history, and dictatorship of the proletariat, socialism, until the establishment of a classless society, communism. The labor theory of value was an attempt by economists to explain why some goods priced the way that they were priced on the market. It suggested that the value of a commodity was determined by the amount of labor needed to produce it. Marxism sees this as a tension between the capitalist and the proletariat. The proletariat is a class who sell their labor in order to make money to survive. The way I think of them is as the middle and lower class. Marxism criticizes capitalism based on the idea of surplus value, the value of labor done for a good to be produced, and the low wages paid by the employer. According to Marxism, under capitalism, you aren't being paid the full value of your work, and the capitalist system basically makes it impossible to be paid the full value of your work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make a profit. Think about it this way. You work for a bakery, and your boss makes the majority of the money, but your boss is making money from work that he himself didn't do. The capitalist buys your labor, and the capitalist makes the majority of money off of your labor that he didn't do, and therefore you are being exploited. Another part of Marxism is dialectical materialism. Dialectical materialism is the base of a reality constantly changing in a dialectical process, which means the process of change in which an idea or the discovery of an idea is preserved and implemented by its opposite, and the priority of matter over mind, which means reality over ideas. What is the class struggle theory of history? Well, it's class war, which basically means war between social classes. It is the struggle between the proletariat and the capitalist classes. Now, speaking of class struggle, and we look at all the ideas of Marxism, we see that they're all related to each other. Historical materialism is the idea that ideas and social institutions develop only by the means or modes of production changes, which makes new societies. Now, we need to understand what the dictatorship of the proletariat is, which is just another word for Marxist socialism. A dictatorship of the proletariat is not an actual dictatorship, but rather is when the proletariat who were previously oppressed become the governing class in the state or government, and the socialist state becomes before communism and prepares for the transition towards communism. A dictatorship of the proletariat is actually more democratic than a liberal democracy because the majority are going to be the ones actually running the state. The proletariat is the majority. And the dictatorship of the proletariat is a temporary phase before a transition towards communism. Communism is a stateless, classless, egalitarian, and moneyless society. Free access to distribution based on one's needs. For the rest of the video, I want to go into detail about the Marxist idea of the dictatorship of the proletariat, since it's more complicated than communism. Karl Marx wrote about his ideas about socialism in his short 1875 work, Critique of the Gotha Program, in which he criticizes a social democratic German party. This party believes in a reformist way towards socialism rather than a revolutionary way towards socialism, supported by orthodox Marxists. However, Karl Marx believed that in a few countries, peaceful transitions towards socialism was possible, such as Great Britain, the Netherlands, and the United States. Although, remember that Marxism is about material conditions, which means that achieving socialism for each country is based on their material conditions, and material conditions change and definitely would have changed since Marx was alive. However, Marx believed that in other countries in which there isn't democracy, then the only way there could be socialism is through a revolution. Marxism believes that under socialism, the state should control all food and products produced and redistribute wealth for insurance funds or for emergencies, and the state should fund public services and funds for people who physically are incapable of working. Once all these social welfare programs are funded, what should be left should be shared to the workers, and people will get as much goods as to the equivalent of how many hours they worked. Basically, the harder and longer you work, the more benefits you get. And Marxism believes that it will be a struggle even after capitalism is abolished to fully remove all capitalist elements, but it will happen given time. Now, does Marxism support democracy? Yes, the whole idea of socialism is the idea of expanding democracy into the workplace. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels stated in the Communist Manifesto and in later works that, quote-unquote, the first step in the revolution by the working class is to raise the proletariat to the positions of the ruling class, to win the battle of democracy, and universal suffrage being one of the first two most important tasks of a militant proletariat. In response to the question, what will be the course of this revolution, in The Principles of Communism by Friedrich Engels, Engels wrote, above all, it will establish a democratic constitution, and through this, the direct or indirect dominance of the proletariat. There is also the fact that Karl Marx supported the Paris Commune, and the Paris Commune, one of the earliest socialist experiments, was democratic. To quote Marx, the Commune was formed of the municipal councillors chosen by universal suffrage in the various wards of the town, responsible and receivable at short terms. The majority of its members were naturally working men, or acknowledged representatives of the working class. The Commune was to be a working, not a parliamentary body, executive and legislative at the same time. Now, Marxism does have authoritarian elements when it comes to what should be done with rebels, but Marxism is not inherently as authoritarian as Stalinism or Maoism. And that is what is Marxism. I hope you liked this video. Sources will be in the description. If I missed something or said something wrong, then let me know in the comments. And if you hate me, then let me know that as well. And yeah, see you in the next video.